You are listening to another episode of the ENRICH Innovation Station podcast, an initiative by ENRICH in Brazil and Confap that highlights the priorities and mutual challenges of research, development, and innovation between the European Union and Brazil. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone to this new podcast of the ENRICH Innovation Station, an initiative of ENRICH in Brazil and the Brazilian National Council of State Founding Agencies, Confap. The objective is to highlight mutual priorities and challenges for the European Union and Brazil in research and innovation. I'm Carlo, Cauti, President of the Association of Foreign Correspondents in Brazil, and I have the pleasure and the honor of presenting this podcast. Today, we want to talk about a very important, very interesting, and I think I would say very extremely current topic, both in Brazil and also the European summers. Mainly is the preventing and fighting wildfires. Remembering this is the podcast number 11. So I would like to analyze this very topical issue with our guest, Mr. Pablo Perez Illana, Policy Officer at DG Research and Innovation at the European Commission in Brussels. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Illana.
Thank you very much to you for this opportunity. Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigado. And then we have Professor Márcio Pereira, President of the State Funding Agency of Mato, Grosso do Sul, FUNDECT. Welcome, Professor Pereira, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you. I'm here today to talk about so much important things here and what happens here in Brazil, what happens in Europe. Thank you for you all.
Thank you very much. So let's start with Mr. Illana. I would like to ask, first of all, to present the impact on climate, environment, and population generated by extreme wildfires, respectively in Europe, of course. And then we will talk about Brazil with Professor Pereira. But first of all, let's start about the climate, environmental, and population generated by the extreme wildfires. And I would like to outline the main actions and plan implemented on the European side. Please, Mr. Illana.
Thank you. Indeed, large-scale and more intense wildfires are becoming an increasing concern in the European Union. We see that more and more Europeans suffer directly and indirectly from wildfires. Between 2017 and 2020, fires have killed hundreds of persons and ravaged forests and nature protection areas that we call in Europe Nature 2000 sites. And this has been happening not only in Southern Europe, as used to be the case, but also increasingly in Central, Eastern, and Northern Europe, for instance, in Sweden in the last years as well. In addition to the extraordinary socioeconomic impact in terms of loss of human lives of residents and of first responders, there are issues also related to health, infrastructures, economic activity with huge losses. But these extreme wildfire events have also serious and sometimes irreversible ecological impacts when consider soil degradation, water scarcity, and biodiversity loss. Moreover, and this is maybe sometimes not so obvious, that wildfires are among the first contributors to climate change. There are different studies, some even point to an amount of even 20% of the total global greenhouse gas emissions per year in the last years. And furthermore, the large surfaces burned cannot absorb so much CO2 any longer, so reducing the climate change mitigation potential of carbon sinks. Extreme wildfires are now observed even more frequently in higher altitudes and latitudes, and this further contributes to accelerating climate change by increased black carbon fallout on ice, snow, and by melting underlying permafrost. And these are issues, for instance, in subarctic areas that are also quite worrying in addition. But on the top of that, large wildfires degrade air quality through the direct emission of toxic pollutants, affecting first responders, local residents, while populations in regions far away from the wildfires can be also exposed to these pollutants as the air is transported, and this has a short and long-term impact on human health. So all in all, climate change, certain forestry practices, ecosystem degradation, and rural depopulation in Europe increase the depth and breadth of wildfires in the European Union. According to some studies from the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, which is called the PESETA-4 studies, climate change is predicted to increase fire risk with longer fire seasons, more frequent fire events, new fire-prone regions, and more severe fire behavior. And just to give you some figures, the burned area in Southern Europe during the 21st century would sharply increase. The number of people living near wildland and exposed to high to extreme fire danger levels for at least 10 days per year would grow by 15 million within a scenario of 3 degrees Celsius warming, so compared to the current situation. And furthermore, global warming could result in a substantial shift northwards of European ecological domains, so making the recovery or reestablishment of non-adapted ecosystems more difficult after a fire. So all in all, we see that extreme wildfire events as in Southern Europe in 2017, 2018, or in California, Brazil, Australia in 2019, more recently, so are likely to become common throughout the whole Europe in the future. So this is kind of, in a nutshell, what we saw the worrying impacts on climate, environment, and populations. And regarding the main action and plans implemented, there are from different angles, of course, a lot of actions at the European Union. I will focus in the area of research and innovation. As you know, in line with the new priority of the Commission, the Green Deal, that explicitly calls to reduce the incidence and extent of forest fires and to boost the European Union's ability to predict and manage environmental disasters as an immediate priority, we have opened a very substantial call for proposals in research and innovation. And this call for proposals includes a dedicated topic. Actually, the first call topic is precisely about preventing and fighting extreme wildfires with integration and demonstrations of innovative means. So this is a very holistic approach that I think I will maybe explain further on the possibilities to cooperate with Brazil, that is trying to tackle all the fire management phases with all the different means, but with an emphasis on demonstration on pilot sites. So taking a stock of the research already conducted and advancing it further to demonstrate it, to provide real solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Illana. And I would like to ask the same question to Professor Pereira, of course, on Brazilian side, on Brazilian point of view. So I will ask to Professor Pereira to present the impacts on climate, environment, and population generated by extreme wildfires. And I will ask to outline the main actions and plans implemented. Please, Professor Pereira.
Yes, first of all, I'm here to bring the points of view of sometimes the government, sometimes the researchers. But here is a point of view of someone who is working on an agency and who provides funding for researchers to solve this problem that's happening in Brazil. It's not a problem, of course. We have problems in the Amazon rainforest. We have problems in the wetland here, the tropical wetland in the center of Brazil called Pantanal. And my problem is how to bring some solutions, how to bring a scientific solution and understand what has happened around these parts of the country, in the north and the center, and how this fire impacts the lives of the people that live there. And I'm talking about the animals, the wildlife, talking about the people who survive and live and work economically in that area. And that's a cultural problem. So many problems to solve. This point of the view of who is funding, who has certain solutions to this problem. First of all, there is a problem, of course, and it's a question on the two sides. First, climate change. So for the first time here, talking about the center of Brazil, the region of Pantanal, it's really different from what happened and all the time. We are talking about something significantly very different from what happened in other years. So, of course, I have to prepare for some kind of problems, but it's really surprised, take as a surprise to see such huge problem. For the first time, this fire is almost uncontrolled, and we have to work together here in the state. Talk about here the state of Mato Grosso do Sul in the center of Brazil, have to work together with all the states, with some partners, all the society, all the society working together to prevent and to solve it, to stop that fire. And now we did. Amazon rainforest, I'm not talking as a specialist, but of course there are problems there that impact the economic, that impact the communities. And in the point of view of us, we are working now together to organize ourselves and make some actions. For our first action here is, of course, research. Only by research, only by science, we can understand what happened and what we can do to solve and prevention. And this prevention will make us understand the next year. Of course, we don't expect that it will happen again. We don't want to expect the kind of tragic problem that we face, but we have to be prepared to face some problems on next year and other years. We are expecting to have some problem next on all 10 years of problem, of course, but now we are more prepared, understand this problem itself and working to solve it and prevent. The point of the government of our government, we understand the problem and we are bringing more money to solve this problem. And we expect that the resources will help us to understand and make it possible to prevent such a problem. That's the point of view of someone who is working on the leader of this agent who is funding researches. So first, there's a problem. It's real. It can cost the lives of the animals, cost some problems of the forests, and now we're here there to understand and to bring solutions. That's our proposal, and we have to do that. We're going to talk about Europe, Brazil. There are some differences. So in Brazil, we're talking about biodiversity. Our biodiversity is so different in each area, in each state, each moment. It's a kind of biodiversity. So that's not so easy to tackle. We understand, but we have scientists who have working on each area and to solve this problem.
Thank you very much, Professor Pereira. And please follow the sponsor of this initiative on Twitter at ConfapBR and at ENRICH_Brazil. So I'd like to continue with Professor Pereira in order to talk about this very important topic, how the European Union and Brazil cooperation may be enhanced in order to tackle jointly extreme wildfires events. Please, Professor Pereira.
First of all, work together. We can face all this problem here, Brazil. Just face together all the institutions, all the states, and the government, and the society itself. We can tackle this problem. All institutions work together. And to face this problem, how? We are working here to organize ourselves, organize some of the research, some fundings to face all this problem. There's a lot of things to do. Not just in the beginning. We have specialists work this problem, and we will work together to solve it. And cooperation, of course. Cooperation, Europe is very important. We just work together, not only Brazil, working together with Europe, and it will help us, of course, to understand better and enhance the problem prevention. So we will do it. That's we need to work together. That's cooperation is the only way to solve problem. We need some knowledge there, here, and all minds work together. Not questioning if it's to blame someone or not. Oh, it's your blame. No, it's not the question now. Question now that we have a problem when we would have to cooperate here, Brazil, with each other, and we must cooperate, of course, Europe, and we need it, of course, this cooperation, this knowledge, and some parts can work and learn together. Of course, our research can tell the European research how to work and how to understand the problem there. And of course, you need another point of view here. How can some things you cannot see easily? Maybe it's the chance. Now, of course, it's the chance to cooperate, and we are thankful that we have this chance now.
Perfect. Thank you, Professor Pereira. And of course, the same question also to Mr. Illana. So, how the European Union and Brazil could cooperate in order to tackle jointly these extreme events? Please, Mr. Illana.
Thank you. In fact, we have now a golden opportunity to collaborate in the area of research and innovation, thanks to this European Green Deal call in Horizon 2020, with this the first topic on preventing and fighting extreme wildfires. Because on this call for proposals remains open till the 26th of January, and it's encouraging international cooperation, and Brazil is one of the countries explicitly mentioned. In fact, from the European Union side, we are devoting 75 million euros of funding for European participants, and we are very glad to learn that Confap, some of the states are also in Brazil, mobilizing resources for Brazilian participants to come together with Europeans. So I think that's a very positive development. And this call for proposals, you can see on the website very in detail all the opportunities, but there are many different areas where we have common needs, and we have also kind of synergies to benefit from each other capacities. And the approach of this call for proposals is actually a holistic one, in the sense of trying to address all the fire management phases. So this means that the proposals should include activities addressing all these phases. So from prevention, preparedness, through detection and response, and up to restoration and adaptation, the whole cycle of the fire management. What we expect actually is to see this acceleration of activities. So it should not be just research, it should be also demonstration and preparing the deployment of innovative means and methods tailored to the extreme wildfire behavior. So this, of course, can include better and more advanced techniques, models, solution capabilities for addressing all these phases I mentioned before, and to mitigate the impact of wildfires. It's also holistic, not only in the sense of addressing all the phases, but this holistic approach also integrating all the different contributors to solutions. So we see that there should be hand in hand the technological aspects with the sociological, economical aspects, and environmental aspects. And it's very, very important to put also emphasis on proactive governance, change of forest management practices, large-scale and community-based risk assessment, awareness and preparedness, where citizens, local communities, the forestry and bioeconomic sectors play a central role. And all this on the top, of course, of the very important technological aspects. If we look also from this perspective, a very integrated approach, addressing all the potential means. And this is from the very top, from, for instance, space capabilities in terms of observation, in terms of support for communication, for navigation. And you know, in the European Union, we have these fantastic flagships projects as Copernicus for Earth observation and Galileo for navigation. And that can be instrumental actually, both in the prevention, but also in the detection and response for the first responders to act efficiently. So that's a layer of space, but also then if you go a bit further, you have aerial means. And in aerial means, there are a lot of also capabilities we can improve, from the traditional ones of firefighting aircraft, but also the newer ones like drones, different water bombers. You know, the operational constraints sometimes we see in firefighting are really amazing in terms, of course, of safety. So it's a very, very dangerous activity. So we see pilots operating in conditions harsh, and we see also, for instance, limitations in night operations. And for instance, night operations could be enhanced or could be facilitated with the demonstration of new technology advancements that we have seen already in other domains. So this is just to give you another example. So that's from the aerial perspective. If we go further down, of course, on the ground, the first responders, there is a lot that can be done for them to operate more safely, to coordinate better all the different activities, all the different actors, including also when needed on search and evacuation, on warning the citizens that are under threat of these issues. So all these are also another aspect that can be tackled. So these are just a few to name. And what we want to see is basically that the proposals should take into account the state of the art and the previous research and innovation activities that have been conducted. At least at EU level, there have been a number of projects, but we want to see a higher level of maturation, of cooperation among the relevant projects, and to make best use of existing initiatives so that we are closer to facilitate the deployment. For that is crucial the involvement of end users. So we want to see the end users really engage, the different sectors and the different authorities and communities. That's, again, an integrated approach that is needed for solving the real issues. It should not be a silo approach, but it should be an integrated approach. And for that, we count also on, again, all member states of European Union, the associated countries to Horizon Europe, but also international partners such as Brazil and other countries that are facing the common needs and also have substantial capabilities to complement. So all in all, we think that with this call, we are looking forward to see very robust, very, let's say, promising proposals that, if selected after a few years, can really provide solutions almost ready to be taken up by the end users. And on this respect, I can say from the European Union side, you know, we have a number also of initiatives and of entities that are operational in the case of wildfires, like the Director General ECHO in the European Commission, and for instance, what is the Union Civil Mechanism for protection So the Union Civil Protection Mechanism, as you may know, this rescue, it's very, very relevant. So that would be fantastic that the solutions from these projects can be then applied and taken up by this kind of mechanism for the benefit of all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Illana. Unfortunately, our time is over. I have a dozen of questions also actually to ask to our dear guest, but for this podcast, we have to finish the registration. I would like to thank all our guests for being with us, in particular, Mr. Perez Illana, Professor Márcio Pereira.
Thank you very much for this invitation. I'm here to work together with you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Muito obrigado.
Thank you for being with us. I cannot fail to thank our sponsors who allow the realization of this podcast, in particular, the delegation of the European Union here in Brazil, also the Confap, and all our sponsors. CNE is a very important work in order to improve the dialogue between Brasilia and Brussels in the field of research and development. And thank you for joining us on this podcast, and I will see you on our next podcast here on ENRICH Innovation Station. Goodbye and see you soon.